everybody. Welcome or welcome back to BnB Anime. I am Blue. That is Brad. Is my mic plugged in? It is plugged in. Why did I feel like it was... I couldn't see the cable because it blended in with the foam. It was black on black.
Oh.
I was like, is it plugged in at all? But I know it's plugged in because I just set up that was the mic that I'm using to record and the light's on. So I'm just being dumb.
I mean, hey, it's a Sunday. It's been a long week. I get it.
It has. We are recording this the day it goes up because we are amazing.
Yeah, we definitely pre-plan and get things done on time. We are the most professional of anime podcasters. We do a fantastic job. Nobody at us in those comments unless you feel like it. We know you're going to. Just get it over with.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's just been a bit of a week for both of us. I feel like it. This is the first time that we have done a 2-core in a very long time, and I think we both kind of underestimated it.
I knew what I was going into. I just didn't expect my week to fall apart the way that it did, to where I would be trying to rush and scramble to get it finished on time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I spent my lunch breaks at work watching it, trying to get it finished. All of my spare time that I wasn't trying to do things to better the podcast and, like, other things going on right now. It's been a time.
Yeah, I feel that as well. It has been very, very cold here in Alberta.
What? No, there's no way.
Yeah, for like, I know I was talking about it last week, on last week's episode. I was saying how we were in, like, top 3 coldest places in the entire world. And, like, 13 of those on the top 15 were here in Alberta.
Yeah.
And I was in, like, number 3 on them. Or something, number 3 or 4 or something. Like, very, very cold. It's not been quite that cold, but it has still been very, very cold this past week, to the point where we can't really take the dogs out for a walk because their feet freeze and their, like, the tips of their tails and their noses and their ears and stuff will, like, risk frostbite and stuff. So we can't actually take them outside. So they go outside to pee and then they run back in again. And then, that means that we've been pretty limited in the house as well. We can't go really shovel the drive, stuff like that, because going out to do that, obviously, you have exposed skin. And then, it's been kind of weird. I kind of got out of the loop of it because I didn't have the first few months, but this was also a very late starting winter here. We had, like, because I was talking to my parents while I was still out in Toronto, and they were saying how, because, like, you know how I always say that there is snow guaranteed before Halloween? Snow didn't start till, like, December this year. Like, climate changes.
Yeah, climate change
really
is fucking weird. This week is the first
Yeah.
week that it's actually been just cold.
Yeah.
It's been very strange. I've burned through so much wood this week. It's been unreal.
Yeah, and I feel like winters are just starting later, and then they're going on longer as well. It's like the years, like, the weather is rotating.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't feel like winter's necessarily going on longer, at least not here, but I do feel like it's, like, gradually starting later. Like, the times of when to expect certain weather is just slowly shifting.
Yeah.
But then again, the huge blizzard we had here that knocked out the power for, like, a week happened in, like, the end of March, I think, of 93. So although I wasn't alive to see it, everybody talks about it. And apparently the day before, it was like 70 degrees. Then that night it was supposed to get down and snow. Nobody just expected it to, be 6 feet of snow and cut out the power for like a week.
Yeah.
So, yeah, strange shit happening. And it's just random. Nobody can predict the weather. The weather is bullshit.
No, well, I mean, there's been so much flooding and horrible stuff happening in BC, which is the other side of the mountains to me. So if you're not very good at geography, BC is like the edge of Canada on the left side. It's like the far edge, and it's kind of right above Washington State.
Yeah, so it's so you got BC, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and then Ontario, right?
All the way around. BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario. I think that's how it goes. Yeah. It's been a while since I did geography. But we have so BC is on the far side, and British Columbia has, like, water and like Victoria and islands and stuff. And then there's the Rocky Mountains, which obviously still go through America as well, but like a lot of them are in BC. And then the other side of the Rocky Mountains are in Alberta. So the provincial line kind of cuts down in between the Rocky Mountains.
Mm-hmm. And BC also provides a lot of the U.S.'s wood supply as well. So for everybody that's getting pissed off about lumber supplies, it was the flooding. So calm down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because so many people are getting upset about the cost of materials going up again. And I'm like, look, like you can't help natural disasters.
No.
Like people getting pissed off about Colombian beans too. Like Colombia had really bad hurricanes this year. So shit got fucked.
Well, BC had a bad season last year as well because they had quite a few fires that were really devastating last season.
Mm-hmm.
So the flooding this year has definitely not helped as well. So it's been kind of one thing after another with them, unfortunately. Because we had a couple big fires out in Alberta a few years back as well. So so we have the mountains, but the cold is coming on our side of the mountains. So it's coming down from the north, and it's not really hitting Saskatchewan and a little bit, but it's not really hitting BC. It's kind of scooting along the mountains on our side and blowing right through Alberta and probably down. I haven't seen Montana forecast. I don't look at them, but I expect Montana has probably been hit with some pretty darn cold winds as well. But yeah, so that's been my life recently, and not great, but is what it is.
We're having a good time.
Yeah, we are. But today, how to pick up slimes in a dungeon is not what I was going to say. That time I got really excited.
Love that though.
As the slime is what we're covering today. It is the first season. We are most likely going to cover the second season. Second season split into 2 parts, right?
Yeah, it's 2 core as well.
Right. So we're most likely going to cover the second season later on at some point. But yes, this is season 1. This is our this show, funnily enough, got me onto the topic of wondering about female lead isekais.
And there aren't as many as you would think, but there still are quite a bit. I didn't expect to find as extensive of a list as I did.
Yeah.
However, I have seen a lot of the female lead isekais, which kind of surprised me, honestly, whenever I was going through them. Because whenever you first asked me that, I was like, the Saga of Tanya the Evil is the only one that I can think of. And then I sent you all of those screenshots of those, and I'm like, I've seen literally all of these except for one.
Yeah, so Brad sent me Kuma 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 Bear, My Next Life as a Villainess, I've Been Killing Slimes for 300 Years and Maxed Out My Level, The Saga of Tanya the Evil, Sword Art Online Alternative Gun Gale Online, and Beaufury, I Don't Want to Get Hurt, so I'll max out my defense. So if you guys have any other recommendations of female lead isekais, let me know, because like, I was watching the show, and as I was watching it, the main character is kind of genderless throughout. I mean, masculine and male, we'll get into it more, but like, as a slime, they are genderless, he is genderless, kind of, sort of. If you've seen the show, you know what I mean. If you haven't, he's a slime, you know?
Yeah, the person who got Isekai'ed was a man. But then as the slime and then as the body that it eventually gets its hands on, it's all genderless, like 100%.
Yeah. So the kind of gender fluidity of this character got me curious as to like, I can't think of any female lead isekais. It kind of seems like, in my head I was like, it kind of seems like isekais are kind of defined by man thrust into another world and then experiencing some kind of RuneScape style life, you know? Mm-hmm. So then I was like, interesting, I wonder if there is, and I asked Brad. So if you have any more, let me know, because I'm curious about them and I kind of want to see. But you may see some of those ones that we just that I just mentioned there popping up in our schedule to come, because I'm very curious now about them.
Well, I do kind of, after you asked me that, I got very, like, I guess, perplexed about our scheduling for last year and kind of how I wanted to go about doing this year. And I want to do a little bit more of a variety. I guess,
Yeah.
because for the anime awards next year, I want to be able to do like best slice of life, best isekai, best fantasy. Like, just I want to add a few more categories that weren't there, like best sports anime. Because I know we want to do Kuroko no Basuke season 2. I know Freeze got a new film coming out. There are a lot of different things coming up that I really want to do. And then it's like I was talking to Blue about for next week. Next week's topic very well just might take my slice of life for the year. Who knows?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I want to see lots of different categories. We've kind of already started coming up with new categories as well, which I think we're both kind of excited about.
Yeah, just the more absurd and stupid, the better, and I'm so excited for it.
Yes. So we've got lots of plans for this coming year.
We've got so many. We've got some things coming up very soon that are very exciting. I finally have the Twitch for the podcast fully built. It looks absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. I've been filming bits and pieces of my life here in Alberta, and I was planning on putting together a little short kind of vlog-style video, I guess, of Alberta Canadian life, because I have been asked a couple of times what life is like here in the abyss of prairie/mountain/cold land. So, I don't know. Put that together and stick that on the YouTube channel.
I hear it's Snow Joke this time of year.
It is Snow Joke.
So, I do have a little... Or go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
Jinx.
you do it.
But then I was also thinking of, in Toronto, I might see if I can find some good, like, otaku-style shops, like some good nerd shops and stuff, and see if I can maybe do a little vlog of me going around and checking them all out. I don't know. Is that something you guys would be interested in, on me going on adventures trying to find otaku stuff?
I'm interested. You should do it.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I mean, I realize I'm the business partner in all this, but I totally agree. You should do it. Also, cat cafes. Does Toronto have cat cafes?
I don't know. I know that Toronto is currently in lockdown, so it may be, this is a long-running idea because, like, COVID. But I know that Toronto has a Japanese cultural center.
Ooh, that's fancy.
I'm curious about, and it seems quite extensive from the very basic research that I've done. Like, it doesn't seem like it's like a small thing. It seems like they have like festivals and stuff that they do. And I'm very curious about checking that out as well. It's kind of out of my way, but I'll see if I can get my way there when all of the restrictions lift.
Mm-hmm. So I got the most heartbreaking news this week.
What?
The ramen restaurant in town closed.
No, you used to go there for lunch like every day.
I at least went once a week. Like, they got so much of my money. I've probably, as much as I don't hate to say this, they've got well over a couple grand from me since I've moved back here.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. I love their ramen so much. And so the fact that they closed down just absolutely gutted me. I am so upset by this because the place in Chattanooga is not that good. Not that good at all. So I don't want to go a couple towns over to get food just for it to not be anywhere near as good. But have I talked about that place on here before?
I don't think so.
So I went there with a girlfriend. It was like our second or third date because she knew how much I love ramen, so she wanted me to go there with her. And for one, I will say their takoyaki, garbage. But their ramen, although not as good as the place here, it was good. But the thing that blew my mind about it is how quick they got that out to us. Like, I shit you not. Like, this is no exaggeration. I know how I am. I exaggerate things a lot because that's what I do. But I shit you not whenever I tell you that the waiter took our order, walked away, was gone no more than 2 minutes, and had our food out to us.
Wow.
I have never had my mind blown in such a manner. Now, granted, I know ramen in Japan is built very similarly to a, like, fast food style thing, where they pretty much have everything prepped except for the noodles. And for the noodles, all they do is boil them for anywhere between, like, 60 to 90 seconds, depending on how firm or not firm you want your noodles. And then, bam, they're done.
Soft.
Pretty much. And so just the fact that it was done that quickly, I was like, damn, like, my mind was just absolutely blown. by that.
Yeah, I was watching these videos of, like, ramen shops. And it's like, they have, like, in Japan, they have chains. And you go to a machine and you order what you want off of a chain, and then it just appears to you, like, on the counter.
Yeah, it's just you have your own individual booth. Like, they'll roll it up a little bit, they'll stick it on your table, and then if you want more, you just ding a bell, write what you want, and hand it to them, and then they just bring it back. And I'm like, as an introvert, this is the greatest thing I have ever seen in my entire life. We need places like that here in the States. Kay, thanks.
I just still think that gaming and manga cafes and that would be huge over here if somebody took the initiative to make them.
So there are actually places opening up like that around the US. I don't know if you've run across the Gamers Heaven or Haven TikTok account yet.
No, I haven't.
But it's a game and like anime manga store where they have anime figures. They have an entire manga library that you can either sit and read or straight up buy them. They have a theater room where you can game or watch anime. Like, you can hook up your own streaming service or whatever, or bring games and stuff to play that you can rent. They have tabletops where you can play D&D and shit like that. They have a actual cafe where you can get boba and food and shit. Like, that's one of the coolest things, and they're slowly starting to pop up all over the US, and I know they were talking about expanding into things like manga cafes and like Korean barbecue restaurants and all that other kind of stuff. And I'm like, this is the kind of takeover that we definitely need here in the States, and I'd say all over North America as well, just because that's really cool shit. And it's about time we branch out into more kind of true, authentic kind of like Japanese or just Asian dining experiences in general, because we don't have a lot of that, at least not down here in the South where I am.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's a huge market, honestly. There's a huge amount of people that are very interested in this, and there's a huge amount of money in it. And I feel like it makes a lot of sense for businesses to be expanding that way. People need to, especially with COVID, when people go out, they're going out for a purpose. They're going out for, like, people don't really go out to just browse stuff anymore, you know? So, like, entertainment plus food. Yeah, when did, like, not having entertainment and food become a thing? Because, like, dinner theater and stuff was, like, a huge thing not that long ago. And now I feel like they went through a period of time where it was just about the food, like all food. And now we're like, okay, yeah, but food and culture, like we need something else with the food to make it worth our time of leaving our house and spending money.
So that kind of thing, I believe, has been relegated solely to cities that are tourist attractions.
Yeah.
Because I know, being here in Tennessee, the closest thing I can think of to that is the shows and whatnot up in Gatlinburg. So, like, up in the Smoky Mountains.
Yeah.
Like, touristy areas like that, things like that will thrive. Because I know they have the Hatfield and McCoy show where you get, like, a buffet of food brought to you of, like, fried chicken and sides and all that other kind of stuff. And free refills, and you get an entire like hour and a half show.
Yeah.
And it's all just stuff built like that, and you typically don't see that anywhere else, because I feel like if you have something like that in the town that you live, it might be something that you go see once, and then that's going to be about it. So there's not enough recurring revenue for a place like that to survive in a normal city. Whereas if you do it in a tourist-based area, then it's a lot easier to market and bring people in, because you have a fresh audience every time. You're not relying on regulars. You're going to have a constant stream of income from people that just don't know what they're expecting.
Yeah, well, okay, so I found a medieval food thing. You know when you go for a medieval show and they have like horses running around and then they serve you food? You know one of those? Yeah,
I've never seen one, but that's cool as hell.
Yeah, I've never been to one either. I checked, they do vegetarian food, and I'm so tempted.
Do you want to meet up and go to a Renaissance fair at some point?
I love Renaissance. My mom made me a cloak, by the way. That's what she's been working on since I've been home. She's been making me a wool cloak. Like fur-lined hood, fastenings, like the whole shebang is lined properly. It's amazing. I'm so stoked to wear it. But I love Ren fairs. And there is a thing in LA where they have, you know how they have, because it's LA, they have filming sets, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there is a set that is like a full medieval town. It's a permanent set, so it's there all the time. And for a couple weekends a year, when nothing is being filmed there, they rent the set out to nerds. And people LARP in this set for like a weekend. Just in character, completely, the whole time. In a medieval village. And I'm like, I want to do that so bad.
My goodness, that pleases me to no end. I would love, but that is something I would just, oh my God, I want to do that. Also, I just really want a comically oversized turkey leg.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Where do they get those?
I don't know. But I want to go to Ren Fair. I missed the Ren Fair last year because obviously it was cancelled for COVID. Yeah, I love going to Ren Fairs. I love them. They're great. There's a Ren Fair that's pretty local here in Alberta. It's just like a small one in a small town. And they have real cannons that they fire off during this whole time, like during the Ren Fair. Because it's like a Ren Fair / historical reenactment thing. So they have like Saxon stuff and Viking stuff and Jutes and Danes and, you know, the whole shebang.
Oh, you see, whenever you said historical reenactments, I was thinking of the Civil War stuff that we have go on around here.
And older than that.
Well,
older.
I mean, again, I get that. But whenever you say that, I'm like, did Canada have like a medieval period?
We had the War of 1812.
We also had that.
I know, we won.
Okay, and?
No, Canada didn't really have but like they have a lot of stuff from like the Dukes of Danes, Saxons, Vikings.
Mm.
I don't know.
Well, again,
yeah.
It just made me curious because that just sounds like fun. Like, again, I want to do it.
Yeah. And then I went to a couple in the UK as well when I was really little, but I don't really remember too much about them. But my parents were really into like historical reenactment stuff. So it was less like Ren Fair, more historical reenactment villages, if you know what I mean. Because it was less magical, more factual. Mm-hmm. But still medieval village style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, anyway, I have a green wool cloak with a fur hood, and I'm stoked. And I haven't had a chance to wear it out yet. It's really heavy. It's like pounds. It's heavy.
Then put it on whenever you take the dogs out. That sounds like that would be excellent for something like that.
Yeah, it's a proper wool. Like it was. My mum made it for me for like winter wear, not for like cosplay. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna wear the fudge out of it. But I have the clasps are in the post because they have it's done up with a hook and eye at the moment, which is going to be permanent, but it needs the clasp. But the clasps got delayed, so they are on their way. And then when they're sewed on, then it's finished.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
I'll put it on the Instagram, on the story, on our story.
Yeah.
So it'll if you listen to this the day that the podcast goes out, it'll be there. If you are on YouTube, you're a week late, so it's probably gone already.
Sucks to suck.
But then I'll probably put it on the story again when I get the clasps in the post.
Even better. So again, you gotta listen to the podcast on time. Just saying, goes live every Sunday, 9:30 p.m. EST. Ding.
Ding. Yes. Also, our YouTube videos go out kind of randomly. They're supposed to go out at a regular time, but shit happens.
Yeah, that. So, funnily enough, I got a message about that yesterday. I got messaged about it, and they're like, yeah, I scheduled the video to go up. It went up wrong. And I was like, I had a sneaking suspicion that I should probably check the YouTube video to make sure that it was going to go up on time. But I was like, nah, it's been going up right here the past couple of weeks. It'll be fine. It was not fine.
No. Yeah. Yeah,
not
for some
fine
reason,
at all.
we're just not good at uploading that one on time. So YouTube's kind of irregular. So if you're listening there, switch over to still subscribe to the YouTube channel because we are posting new content there. That's when my vlogs will go.
Yeah. Also, episode 100 is going to be absolutely fucking massive.
Yes, that's coming out very soon.
Very, very soon. So be looking forward to that. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, like 2 episodes away. Not next episode, the episode after.
Yeah, so whenever this goes live on YouTube, 2 weeks after.
Yeah.
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 I've got news for once.
News.
I actually did my job.
Ooh. Shock. I'm stunned. No, I'm just kidding. Let's hear it.
It's not a lot of big news, but it's still news nonetheless. Actually, this one is rather huge.
Mm-hmm.
So, AMC has officially acquired Sentai Holdings, so they now own Sentai Filmworks and the High Dive streaming service.
Huh.
So, I have no clue what AMC intends to do with this catalog. However, for the actual AMC networks to have that entire catalog of shows, because I know Sentai has licensed things like Food Wars and whatnot, there's a high probability that there could be a lot more anime hitting the mainstream television market.
Yeah.
So that's exciting to hopefully be able to see a lot more of that coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
And then you remember that manga I told you about the author who made it about his girlfriend, supposedly, maybe, very much seems like it.
Right.
The Shikimori's Not a Cutie.
Mm-hmm.
And how that was supposedly getting an anime.
Mm-hmm.
We have a release date.
Ooh.
April 2nd.
Okay, cool.
I'm so excited. There's so much good shit coming out this year.
Mm-hmm.
So much stuff that I'm excited for. Speaking of, the day that this goes out, the new Attack on Titan episode is releasing. So that's fully kicking up into like full swing. So there's that. Demon Slayer. Also a new anime that's starting today that I've added to our Sunday watch list. It's like My Dress Up Darling, and Cloverworks is doing it because I'm willing to give Cloverworks one more shot to not disappoint me. And I'm actually watching this one week to week, so I'm doomed to be disappointed at this point.
Yeah, okay, good luck. I hope that goes well for you.
Hopefully so. We'll see. You may or may not get a message from me being pissed off. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
And then final piece of news, which is very exciting. Sony has announced the PlayStation VR 2 headset.
Okay.
So the headset is actually going to have 4K HDR displays. Mm-hmm. It's going to have inside-out tracking, eye tracking, and haptic feedback. So they're like really trying to up their game for their VR thing to try to match things like what Oculus and whatnot are doing.
I was going to say, Oculus is kind of the only VR headset that I regularly hear about.
I think you have the Vive as well, which I think is like the more high-end version of Oculus. But
yeah,
Oculus,
so I feel like Oculus is
go ahead.
More attainable for the everyday consumer.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Oculus is definitely being more obtainable, especially with their Quest line, because the Quest line has the like truly wireless, don't need a PC setup to be able to do it.
Yeah.
But the downside to that is that it's all run through Facebook, so if Facebook ever has issues or you don't have a Facebook, you're kind of fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people, especially a lot of like young like gamers, it's snowing heavy.
I was gonna say it's raining heavy here, so
yeah.
Ambience.
Yeah, it's big flaky chunks. A lot of people, especially a lot of gamers and stuff, are kind of boycotting large companies like Facebook right now.
I know that there's a huge petition on Twitch right now because the community believes that they are being undervalued and underpaid by Twitch and therefore by proxy Amazon, because no matter how big you are, no matter how much revenue you bring in, it's a full 50-50 split. Yeah. So the entire community is like, no, we don't like this. We don't like this at all. We should be paid more.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that like YouTube's having a lot of issues with demonetization stuff as well, and a lot of gamers can't like play games on YouTube because they have to be so heavily censored. Yeah, it's very weird. And then Facebook, I know people are having issues with as far as like getting payouts and whatnot from as well. So the entire live streaming video game community right now is kind of up in shambles. Yeah. But everything will kind of work itself out in the end for most platforms. I don't know how much longer Facebook gaming is planning on being around with the issues that they're having. And considering I don't really hear much out of the Facebook gaming community anymore. So who's to say? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how things go. Yeah. So, you ready to get slimy? Let's get slimy.
Hell yeah! So, that time I got reincarnated as a slime was initially a novel series written by Fuse.
Mm-hmm.
The light novel series was also written by Fuse, manga written by Fuse, but illustrated by Taiki Kawakami.
Mm-hmm.
The light novel series has a total of 19 volumes. The manga has a total of 19 volumes and is still running to this day. And the anime was directed by Yosuhito Kikuchi for episodes 1 through 24. And then from episode 25 on, the assistant director, Atsushi Nakayama, went from being the assistant director up to the actual director from episodes 25 all the way through the second season. The first season ran from October 2nd, I would assume, through either late March or early April of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And the second season ended in September of 2021. The first season has a total of 25 episodes, or 24.5 episodes. It's not a half episode, but it's entirely a recap episode, which, let me just say, I told this to Blue, and I will stand by this until the day I die. That is the right way to do a recap episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Because that was brilliant. Like, yeah. Shogi between characters just talking about the series. That's brilliant. I love that.
Especially considering it's a character that you see in the beginning of the show but isn't a huge character throughout the show. So it's kind of a nice, like, it's them again.
Yeah, and then another character that has practically zero dialogue, and it's brilliant. I love it. It was a fun time.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. So, the OPs are Nameless Story by Takuma Terashima from episodes 1 through 14, and then Meguru Mono by that same artist for the rest of the episodes, episode 15 through 24. I don't know what the OVA had. So, Nameless Story was also the ending, the ED for the first episode. And then we have Another Colony by True for episodes 2 through 13, and Little Soldier by Azusa Todakoro for episodes 14 through 24. So those are your OPs and EDs. I found them to be kind of just meh.
So, second core was definitely superior to the first core.
Agreed.
But the second OP is really the only thing that stands out to me.
Yeah.
From all of them, the second OP was good. It wasn't the greatest thing.
Yeah, but I feel like, they're fine. In our opinion.
They're fine. Like, I'd definitely give the second OP like a 7. Then everything else can get a 5. Like, it's not bad. It's not great.
It's just, is there.
It passes.
Yeah. It is rated a PG-13, which I feel is fair, but I have an issue with one specific character. If you know me, you probably know what I'm going to talk about here. And actually, I was surprised. I don't know whether I was surprised. It was also brought up in the comment section of the particular episode when this particular character is introduced on Crunchyroll as well. So I know that it is a conversation that has been had around this show and around this particular character. So this is a show that I would recommend that if you are a parent with a 13-year-old child and you don't know whether or not you should whether they should watch the show, I would recommend you watch it first because of the one character that I will get into later after a spoiler warning. Just because of it's questionable at best. So putting that out there. It is rated an 8.12 on my anime list and an 8.8 out of 10 on Anime Planet. So, like an
8.5 is kind of fair. Yeah.
8.5 between both, which is, I feel like, a high rating.
If this were the first time I watched it, I'd probably give it an 8. Considering how many times I've seen it up to this point, which, by the way, spoiler alert, this was the 4th time through that I've watched this, so this wasn't the first time.
Yeah.
I'd probably sit it at about a 7.5, which I realize isn't taking off too much points, but in the grand scheme of things, it sounds bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, from an isekai standpoint, it is a fun time. And it's an interesting take on the typical OP protagonist style scenario.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not the greatest by any means.
No, I definitely feel like once we put a proper spoiler warning up, we'll go into this in more detail. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to wait for spoiler warning and then we can get into it. But yeah, it has a 2.57% dropped rate, if that tells you anything. It's, decent drop rate for a 2-core anime.
And not only that, but it is an isekai, and isekai anime sort of have a interesting rap that comes with them.
Yes.
So it just kind of, it's either your thing or it's not. So the drop rate percentage definitely reflects that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so a little bit of background on the show, a little bit of an overview before we dive into everything. We are dealing with a 37-year-old office worker in Japan who gets isekai'd through one means or another to a new world. In this new world, he is reincarnated as a slime. And when you think slime, like, it's, like, main, like, first level, rats in an alley style slime. Like, it's a blob. And he has to use the abilities that have been given to him via his isekai process to establish himself in this new world. And he very quickly bonds with a particular character who aids him in this process. And then it's about him gaining friends as he goes on his various adventures with the powers that he has. As Brad says, he's kind of an OP character, but it's not like One Punch Man OP, but there are, I feel like there's a fairly decent give and take throughout the show. It's just standard isekai. There are pups in the show, and I will put a trigger warning for injured animals on the show.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because that made me sad. I know that it was fun of the show and everything, but it still makes me sad. So, okay.
Are you talking about the wolf bit, or what bit are you talking about?
Yeah, wolf bit, pup. Like, anytime they're injured dog type animals, I get sad.
I mean, I can kind of see it, I guess.
I like dogs too much.
I mean, I do love doggos, but at the same time, it's a fantasy anime. You get over it.
Yes, it is very much so, and it's not done in a depressing kind of way, so it's fine. But I'm just putting that out there. That's a thing.
The way that this show does death and therefore like bloody scenes like that is incredibly unique, because the show definitely could have went with an R rating if they just showed a little bit more. So it was done in a very interesting way.
Yeah, there was one moment in the show later on, actually towards the pretty near the end, where one character who you've known from like fairly on at the beginning gets a pretty intense facial injury. And that was like shocking to me because it was so different from all of the other injuries throughout the rest of the show. Like, they were kind of like, when you get anime injuries where it's like just blood and you don't see what is causing the bleeding.
Oh, you mean when dude got falcon punched?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was just like that injury was so gruesome compared to everything else, because everything else was just like, red smudge.
But, I mean, at the same time, though, that doesn't surprise me, considering whenever, like, what happened with the Orc Lord, whenever all that stuff was happening, and you could, like, slowly see the dissolving happen. I'm like, that's an incredibly cool set of animation that I would have liked to have seen how that played out from, like, the editing room.
Yeah. Because
that was cool to watch.
I feel like this anime could have gotten a lot more grotesque, and I'm not sure if it would have obviously upped the rating, but I feel like it would have maybe made it more entertaining.
Yeah, but at the same time, with things like Goblin Slayer and ReZero that are really brutal, I feel like that kind of set it apart from the pack as well.
Well, yeah, but I also feel like it could have been gruesome but didn't change anything else. Because with both Goblin Slayer and ReZero, you kind of get like a more intense emotion behind the characters. You get like them being really emotive over the situation. These characters, because it's kind of more of a lighthearted isekai, don't ever get too emotive. And so I feel like it would be kind of really entertaining to see dramatic injuries with just like a nonplussed reaction.
And with that being said as well, my brain fried. Anyway, if the show was more grotesque, that wolf scene would have made you more sad, though.
It would have. That is true. But regardless, let's chuck on that spoiler warning.
Yeah. So, spoiler chicken hats. Throw them on.
Chuck them on. Yes.
One thing I will talk about first going into this, though, with the animation style. This show is actually unique in the fact that depending on the character, it didn't use hard black lines for the outlines. It kind of blended it in for the character.
Yeah, I did.
Which I thought was incredibly unique. So that was just one thing that kind of tickled me, considering, I like to draw. It's fun. Yeah, so instead of seeing just hard black lines outlining a character, having them go with something that's actually suited for the character. And a lot of that kind of depends on the character too. There was a lot of like hard outlining done, but depending on the character and kind of level of significance, not having that was a very welcome change of pace.
Yeah, I also have to give a shout out to the way that expressions were animated on our main character when he's in slime form.
Oh yeah.
Because Rimuru, obviously I'm assuming in the manga, like the expressions would have been on the slime, like you would see them, but you wouldn't see them forming them because that sense of movement is obviously only able to be shown in the anime. And I felt like the way that they did the movement of forming the slime into different expressions was really well done, and I liked that. I wasn't a huge fan of like backgrounds and food and like detail stuff. I thought that was kind of like middle of the road to like just that it was there. It was a thing.
Yeah, nothing was too just overly done. The CGI that was used for the movements whenever there was a lot of characters on screen wasn't too jarring, but it is there and it is noticeable.
Yeah, there are a couple of occasions where it's very noticeable.
And again, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Unless you just really start paying attention to it, and then it's really bad.
Yeah, I feel like also there were a couple of times where there was like scenery shots that just didn't hold up. I'm assuming they were going for a let's take a calm down and look at this beautiful landscape, but the landscape wasn't quite breathtaking enough to give you that emotion as a viewer, if you know what I mean.
But I feel like you're trying to hold this to laid back camp standards, and
Isekai
is not gonna be able to hold up to that, especially a 2-core for a first season.
I know, but I have high standards now, and if it doesn't hold up, it doesn't hold up.
Look at you being the critic for once.
Yeah, and then so put on a spoiler chicken hat, so I feel like I can bring this up. I kind of want to bring this up right now, just so that then we can go on to the anime and the storyline and don't have to talk about this particular subject, so I'm just going to kind of get it out of the way. Milim, character. First time we're introduced to her, she is wearing very, very small bottoms, bikini bottoms, I wouldn't even really call them that, which I would not have a problem with if it wasn't for her character. Reason why is because Rimuru, as he is in human form, has been established as being a child before puberty, like pre-puberty child, because he switches into a male and female form, aged up, both of them grow in height. So he is pre-puberty. That being said, he can be a small woman who just looks like she can be a full-grown woman and look very young. So kind of get that. But then she throws a temper tantrum and they compare her to a child multiple times through like words that are spoken, comparing her to a child in action. And then the next times that you see her, she's in like the sailor school uniform style shirt and then like an overlaid dress that you would wear when you're like 9 years old. It's weird. that they put her in such revealing clothing and give her a childlike personality, and then the next time you see her dressed, she is dressed in childlike clothing. It's weird, it's uncomfortable. I looked in the comment sections of that particular episode and the episodes after where she's in, and it did seem that it was a conversation in the comment section as well. Like, people were talking about it during the show, and it withdrew them from the show, and that's an issue for me as someone who reviews these kind of things, is it's drawing people's attention away from the storyline. It's drawing people's attention away from what's happening in the show because they're too focused on just feeling a bit uncomfortable, not feeling 100% comfortable because of the character. So you can have her dress like that, you can have her even kind of look like that if she acts like an adult, or if you have her childlike, don't put her in clothes like that.
Yeah, and I can't really say much on this because, not gonna lie, I paid absolutely zero attention to that bit. So whenever you're talking about having issues with a character, I kind of thought you were going to go the Milim route, but at the same time, I was like, I wonder what it is. Because again, I paid zero attention, which then again, the entire watch through of this, I didn't pay the most attention because it's the fourth time I've watched it through. Like, no joke, the Lizard arc, I pretty much skipped in its entirety because not the best.
No.
I mean, it's still fun at the end. But the start of it, no, God, no, it wasn't fun. Actually, let me rephrase that. The start of it was cool with the, God, what race is Benimaru and them?
Ogre, Orc.
Oh, Ogre. That's right. Yeah, with the ogres, like, that shit was cool, and the very end was cool. Everything else in between, for being a fourth time watch through, was very monotonous and lame, and I did not have a good time.
Yeah.
But everything else was cool.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that about Milim, just to get that out of the way, because I did see it as being a conversation throughout other viewers as well of the show, so that kind of, like, reinforces that I'm not being, like, picky about stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and again, it's one of those much, much less tasteful tropes of anime. Like, that's not a trope that should be condoned in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah.
And I feel like their way of trying to cop it out as saying the character is like 2,000 years old, it doesn't make it better.
No, that's like, that doesn't change anything, because it's the way that she acts more than anything else that is the big issue, because I'm fine with you expressing the female body sexually. Like, that's fine. There's no issues with that, especially, like, showing different types of the female body being expressed sexually as well. There's nothing wrong with that. So if you have big tits, little tits, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you're going to sexualize them, fine. I mean, don't sexualize, but if you're going to have a sexy character, then it's fine to have a sexy character, and there's nothing wrong with that. The issue comes in is to when you have a character that is in, I would say, the most revealing outfit in the show. There are some that are incredibly revealing on the top half, but she is absolutely the most revealing on the bottom half. Because, like, I don't feel like 99% of women would feel comfortable wearing those if they were bikini bottoms or they were going to the beach, you know? So very, very, very revealing bottoms on someone who they discuss through dialogue in the show as having the temperament of a child. So that's where the issue comes in. If she was just another mature character, like, all of the other characters in the show act like grown women. If she had just acted like them, it would have been fine. But they chose the character that acts like a child to dress that way. You know what I mean?
I realized why I didn't pay attention to that.
Why?
I skipped that episode.
Uh-huh. There you go.
Just because, again, her whole introduction as a character just didn't interest me.
Yeah.
And again, maybe that's on the writing of the show. I don't know. I just remembered going into watching this, which episodes I couldn't skip.
Yeah.
And that was the one that I skipped, because pretty much all you need to know, Milim gets introduced. She's strong as fuck. She punches the hell out of a dude that Falcon punches Reincarnated.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Poor Reincarnated.
But anyway, moving on from that, because that discussion has now happened. So all of the intense stuff out of the way. Now back to the show.
Business dude in real life gets stabbed, and his dying wish to his kohai is to have his browser history erased because same.
Yeah. And it was a funny joke. It was a good joke.
It was great. I wasn't expecting that the first time I watched that, and then even watching it through this time, I still got a chuckle out of it because I forgot it was coming.
Yeah, and then there's the reoccurring joke where I think it's like several episodes later, like I think it's quite a few episodes later, where you get to see his kohai actually throwing his the entire computer into the bathtub.
Yes, which also gave me a huge chuckle.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it was brilliant. I love it.
So, new slime in a new world, goes finds a dragon. They become friends, they name each other, give big hugs, then run away from it after eat dragon, consume dragon inside slime. Now they go, slime dragon goes out into the forest.
Continue on. This is the most brilliant explanation to a show I've ever heard. I love it.
Okay, so ball slime goes forest. Idiot humans come find cave. Slime leaves them alone. Slime goes through the forest, finds some goblins. Goblins need help because of wolves. Slime names goblins and wolves after they become friends by killing a wolf. Then Star Wolf with Star, becomes shadow demon for slime.
Did you have a good time watching this show? I'm genuinely curious just because
the show's fun.
The way you're explaining this is brilliant. I love it. Like, I'm having a great time, but I was just curious.
The first core to me was my favorite. The second core I found got a little bit messy. But yeah, that's we'll get into that when we get there. Yeah, so now we have friends of goblins and wolves. We figure out that if you name shit gets stronger. Then they build
also
a village.
Gets hotter.
Yes.
Because old village goblin got like super ripped and buff, and I was like, damn.
Freaking dude's belly button. Who's Gobta? His belly button gives me the heebie-jeebies. I hate it.
I don't know if you've noticed, but there were quite a few of the goblins that had outies instead of innies.
But they're not like outies. They're like a freaking tumor. Like,
I mean, yeah, Gopta's was pretty much a softball where his belly button went.
I do not like it. Gave me the heebie-jeebies. I didn't like watching it. It was not fun. That was a piece of animation that made me feel icky. I don't know why. I don't know why I reacted so viscerally to that. But yes, it was icky belly buttons. Do not like.
Oh, this is great. Carry on.
Yeah. And, I will say, the one dude who didn't get hotter was frickin' Ogre, Benimaru. He was so good looking, being his older, rugged self, and then they baby-faced him, and I was mad about it. Just saying.
Yeah, I can see that. Other dude, the stealth ninja, he got hotter.
Yeah, and then that's just a running gag throughout the rest of it as well, is that
it's just like, damn.
So they then find ogre buds, they become all big buds together. They're friends, all friends.
Oh, you skipped over the dwarf kingdom.
Oh, yeah. So they go to Dwarf Kingdom, artisan friends, yeah. There's a dickwad there who pours a drink on a slime, like.
Yeah, and then Dickwad gets punched. Then the whole punching party gets hauled in front of the king. The king is like, you know what? We exile you, but I'll give you an option to come work for me. And Blacksmith is like, nah, fam, not today. I'm gonna go work for the slime. Because the slime, I owe him a debt of gratitude because I worked my ass off on this sword. And he copied that bitch.
20 times. Yeah.
Which tickled me the first time I saw that too. I was like... Like, how bad would you feel if a slime was like, ha, watch this shit?
I did it. Yeah. And yeah, so then, also, Dickwad just completely, like, just poured the drink on the slime. Like, that, okay, so slime offended him, whatever, he poured the drink on the slime. The slime was sitting on the lap of somebody else, who then got a drink poured on them for no reason. Like, I'm sorry, that's just mean.
Yeah, that very mean. Don't do that to elves. Elves don't deserve that.
Don't do that, no.
The elves were so nice, too.
Yeah. And so then Blacksmith and his buds go back with, they forgot Gupta, but it's okay, they found him again. And he is actually he's one of those characters that is deceivingly strong. The kind of character where you think, oh yeah, he's in like 4 seasons time, he is going to become the master villain or something. Like he's...
I mean, when he got named, he didn't get a glow up, but he got a power up.
Yeah.
It's never shown until he starts wrecking shit later on in the show.
Well, yeah, the first time you kind of get a glimpse of his strength is in this moment where he squeezed himself a wolf.
Yeah, because not all of them can do the shadow movement with the wolf and summon it, but he manages to get himself a wolf.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, they go home, ogres happen, orcs start starving and start chomping everything in their path, including the orcs' homeland, or ogres' homeland.
Yes.
And then lizard people, which I completely skipped because it is of literally no consequence to me, because this is the longest setup arc for like a 1-episode battle that I've ever seen.
And the one dude is so annoying. Okay, so...
Oh, Gobby-Roo. Oh my god.
Idiot Prince Lizard has been sent off by his father to go and recruit people in the forest because there's like 200,000 orcs coming to destroy them, and they only have 100,000 lizards. So they need people so they can have like an even battle. So he sends his son off, the Crown Prince, to go and recruit people. The Crown Prince goes with his buds, and he goes through like all of the villages in the forest, and then he has one village left, and his friends say to him, hey, when are you going to take over the crown? And he's like, I don't know yet. I still got a ways to go. And they're like, you should take over the crown now. You're like a really good prince. And then he's like, oh, I guess I'm like a really good prince. I should take over the crown. I'm going to go and start a rebellion. So he goes to the village to Slime's... I'm going to call him Slime because I can never remember his name.
Rimuru?
Rimuru. I know it's Rimuru. I still forget it. Goes to the village and he says, bow down to me, you shall henceforth be my subjects. Worship me, you tiny plebs. And everyone there is like, my guy, you're like not even that strong. And he's like, I have a name, I'm strong. And they're all like, yeah, literally all of us have names as well because of Slime. So screw you. And he's like, that sucks. And I don't remember how it happened, but he basically turns around without them and goes home and throws his dad, the king, in prison, and then's like, we got this, we don't need any other help, and sends everyone off to go and fight the army, the orc army that they've been kind of defending from for a few days because the main forces haven't yet arrived. And he goes and sends them all out, and then they're gonna die. At the same time, Rimuru finds a forest fairy, who comes out and is like, hey, you should help the forest. And he's like, okay, fine. And so then he and his team go to fight anyway, and the king, and he had already had contact with the king as well to be like, hey, we should join forces for this fight. Then when he goes there, he realizes that the king has been thrown in prison, Idiot Prince has taken over, and Idiot Prince is about to die. So Rimuru and his buds go and like fight off all the orcs and everything, and soon it's kind of mostly just Big King Orc left, and Rimuru is going to fight Big King Orc, which is the fight that Brad's going to talk about now.
So, Orc Lord shows up, tries to fight the lizard men, but then ogres show up and start sending hellfire and just ninja slashing and splitting the earth to obliterate 50,000 of these bitches in like the matter of seconds. Because this glow up was substantial. Then Slime shows up in human form actual demon lord shows up.
Oh, we forgot how he got his human form. I'll have to go back and explain.
Yeah, we can explain that afterwards. So Orc Lord eats Demon Lord. Orc Lord then becomes Orc Disaster, therefore Demon Lord. And then Slime is like, yeah, let me just nom really quick. And then eats the Orc Lord Demon Lord thing and takes on his sins, so that way all of the rest of them will be forgiven, so that way he can have more free labor for his city in exchange for their lives. And then everyone is happy. They create the Forest of Jorah Alliance. The Dwarven King shows back up, and he's like, hey, let's duel. Let's be friends. I want to make sure that you guys are friends, not enemies. They duel. Rimuru deflects his strongest attack, and he's like, all right, cool. You guys are fine. We're allies. We're friends. Oh, yeah, by the way, you need to name your kingdom. So he's like, all right, I don't know what to name it. And Secretary Big Boob Lady is like, oh, hey, let's just name it after you. Because why not?
Yeah, so he named the nation Tempest, which was the name that the dragon and him came up with as like their family name. So it was like something Tempest. Forest
it's
Tempest
like
Alliance or something. Forest.
It's like the
Republic
Jorah Tempest Alliance thing.
Yeah, something like that. And then they named the capital city Rimuru. Yes, so what we skipped over is Shizu. Shizu is a human who was also Isekai'ed, but she was Isekai'ed via summons. And then they had a big fight with her and her demon inside of her thing, fire lord type, vicious enemy, bad creature.
It's the fire spirit Ifrit, which is actually a rather common occurrence in anime. I've ran across like 3 or 4 different Ifrits in all of my anime watching, so I guess that's just like a common fire spirit in Asian folklore. So
maybe, yeah. I don't know.
And then Ifrit will come into play in the last episode. Trust us.
Yes. Yeah. But so she is then like running around with Ifrit in her for like the longest time. And she then eventually learns to kind of control it. She has some bad experiences as a kid, all this kind of stuff. She then becomes a teacher and teaches some kids. And then she, as she's aging, can no longer control Ifrit. And so she leaves the kids and she goes on a mission. And as she goes on this mission, she kind of forgets who she is. But she has this one, like, memory of her wanting to find the demon lord who summoned her. And that's, like, the one thing in her mind. And then eventually she finds the adventurers who went in that cave in the beginning. And they then are going on a mission to go to the village to find the slime. They then meet together, and Slime and her become friends. Also, whilst Slime was at the bar with the elves, they looked up to a crystal ball and said that she was his, like, the being, that she was the partner that he was going to be with for eternity. And it turns out that's accurate, because he absorbs her dead body when she dies of old age.
Yeah.
And exhaustion. Yeah. Even though she looks really young, but, like, she goes grey. And then he becomes human.
Yeah.
And that's how he gets his human form.
And then we have the Milim arc, because that happens. Riekert, the goblin dude, gets falcon punched by another guy who wants to be a demon lord, but then Milim just wrecks his shit.
Yeah.
And then dude who got his shit wrecked goes and absorbs a flying spirit by whatever name I can't remember. And then Milim also wrecks said flying spirit, because why not, after a big battle where the entire forest and the Dwarven Kingdom teamed up.
That I found unsatisfying. I found that fight like, oh, okay.
So I feel like the reason, and you may agree with me on this, I'm not 100% certain, but did this give you White Whale vibes from ReZero?
Yeah.
And that's why it wasn't as satisfying?
It was... I mean, first of all, they were like, we're in a land of magical creatures, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, there are megalodons in the sky, and that threw me for a loop, because I was like, oh, real life sharks that were a thing. Okay. It's like you're dealing with magical creatures, and then all of a sudden there's a dinosaur. It was kind of like, it threw me for a loop.
Well, also, remember how they said dragon corpses got taken? Where the fuck were those dragons? Like, did the megalodons just possess the dragons and then still be megalodons? Like, what the fuck? I was promised dragons, and I was given sharks, which I realize is a good thing for you because you're a big fan of sharks. But for me,
sharks. I didn't like them in this context.
Yeah, like these weren't cool sharks.
No, and then there's this big creature that I don't know, the chin something. I don't know. Just big creature, and it's got like these really intense scales that like shoot out and like are gonna slice people to bits and stuff. And then they're fighting for a while and they get it down like 30% of its health. And then Rimuru does a scan on it and it's like, oh, it's feeling angry. What's it angry about? Oh, it's angry about Milim. And so he goes and finds Milim and he's like, hey, sorry I stepped in on your fight. This is a you issue. And so she runs out to go and fight it and she just pulls like a Mega Man and explodes it. And then that's it. And it was just like, they went through all of that fight to get it down 30%. They went through fighting all of these other megalodons. They had all of these giant scales that were being launched at them like blades. And then she just explodes it. And it wasn't like a funny, or like, ah ha ha, she just exploded it, she's so OP. It was like, oh, okay then. I guess this fight's over.
Yeah. And again, I compared it to the ReZero fight, and that's why it wasn't anywhere near as good. But yeah, that happened. So they do that. Dude gets taken back by his master because he fucked up. And then Rimuru goes to fulfill Shizu's final wishes of going to look after the kids, which is where we get to deal with fairies.
Storyline feels like a longer running anime by this point. I'm feeling like it's kind of like Pokemon or Fairy Tail or something where you get like an arc, but the arc only happens over like 3 episodes. And then there's another arc and it only happens over 3 episodes. And that kind of thing is normally, in my experience, something that happens over really, really long running shows. In this context, I felt like it felt kind of like jumbled or like shoved together or, you know, like, I don't know. And I don't know how else they could have done it because I don't know whether or not they needed, like, I think it was just the transitions weren't great between them. It was kind of like this happens and then we're going to run a bit and then this happens and then we're going to run a bit and then this happens. And it's been a few months.
Yeah.
And then you know what I mean?
It's just, yeah. Yeah, they did a lot of like time skipping that wasn't the most subtle at all.
Mm.
But it happened. It was the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, children. They're very sick. They only have like a maximum of 5 years to be in the world because they have been summoned, but they have too much power in their bodies. And as they are children, they cannot contain the power. So they have a maximum of 5 years to live before the power consumes them. So Rimuru goes to find them and decides that he's going to take them to get a spirit put into their body. Like, he's going to summon a spirit and enter it in their body so that the spirit can control the high level of power that's running through their system. They go off on an adventure to go find the spirits, and I guess 2 are of note. Fireboy gets a spirit that was like, hey, I want to be in that kid. Like, that sounded real bad. Real bad. Gets a spirit that's like, hey, we would be a good match. I'm going to volunteer for that kid, whereas the other ones had to like create spirits from lesser spirits, whereas he got like a big spirit himself. And then the last kid, Chloe, was it Chloe?
Yes.
She gets one that's like debatably a spirit. Like, they don't really know what this creature is.
I think it was a spirit of Shizu's master.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could tell that it was setting off, what's his face? Veldora.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we get more info on Shizu's past.
Yeah.
So we get to see Shizu fight a demon and destroy his arm. And then we get to see the king of a nation is actually a demon lord. And then demon that was summoned that fought Shizu, that guy kills demon lord king person. And then that pretty much wrapped all that up. And then the last episode is a recap episode, but it's told from the brains of Veldora and Ifrit while they're playing a game of shogi.
Yeah.
Which I loved. That was great. I enjoyed that.
Really good. It was. So that's kind of the general gist of the show. and some of our opinions throughout. Yeah.
It was a fun show. And again, I get why it's one of the like newer generation's top isekais. But it, in my opinion, does not hold a candle to ReZero by any shape, form, or fashion. But it's still really good. Like I said, I give it like a 7, 7.5. I don't know. I can't make up my mind.
I think where I'm at with it is that it's not quite a comedy, and it's not quite like an action adventure. It's not dark enough for me to be satisfied for it to be like ReZero. It's not funny enough for it to be like
Tanaka-kun?
Aqua. What's the?
Oh, Konosuba?
Yeah, Konosuba. It's not like you, because I know that's not isekai. Is it an isekai?
Yes, Konosuba's an isekai.
Okay, it is. I forgot that he. How did he? Did he die? He did die. He got hit by a truck, but he didn't get hit by a truck.
He went into shock because he thought he got hit by a truck, but instead it was a tractor because he was sleep deprived and then pissed himself and then died after going into cardiac arrest while the doctors and parents were making fun of him. Yeah, I remember now.
It's not quite as funny as that. It's not quite as dark as ReZero. I feel like there are other isekais in my mind that I have enjoyed the fantasy element of more. The things that I like about this show, I really like that the main character is a slime. I also really like that he's OP enough to be very satisfying as a character, but there are times when it's like, no, I can't hold a candle to that. I like the idea of him absorbing things to consume their ability. I would have liked to have seen that more throughout later episodes. I mean, I know we saw it in like big things, but it would have been nice to have seen him like, I kind of want to absorb this table and make more table. You know, like the small jokes kind of dissipated throughout the end of the season, and I feel like if those had carried through, it would have been beneficial. I like his like robot style computer brain system that he's got.
Yeah, Great Sage. Great Sage is cool.
Yeah.
Also, just the subtle like pop culture references of him being able to duplicate manga from his past life and showing people video games.
They did Salt Bae for a second.
They did.
In one of the shows.
Like, there's a lot of fun stuff that they do, and the entire thing isn't just fantastic, but it has shining moments to where I feel like a 7 to a 7.5 is about the highest I can go, but it also feels like the lowest I can go too, because the shining moments really outshine the rest of it. But the rest of it is kind of mundane in a lot of ways, but it's still fun. Like, there was nothing about it I just hated. Yeah,
I'm gonna give it a 6, I think, because of the reasons that I've just said. I feel like this is a show that I'm going to prefer the second season of to the first season.
Oh, the second season is going to be a lot of fun from the clips and whatnot that I've seen. And there's a lot more like anime references and pop culture references and stuff to come from clips that I've seen. So the second season is going to be fun. Yeah, I'm excited for the second season. And I think that's the main thing the show gave to me. Was just like hope for the future of this show more than anything else. It was a good setup. I found the storyline kind of crunchy in areas, and the animation was good, and then it wasn't good, and the CGI was okay, and then it wasn't okay, and the OPs and EDs were and except for the second OP. The second OP was good.
The second OP was good, and then. Yeah, I don't know. I found it inconsistent. I feel like that's why I'm settling at a 6, is because the show is inconsistent, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But, as we have said before, and we will say it many times again, we are just two idiots with opinions. We have no qualifications. So, if you disagree with us, that's perfectly fine, and we would love to hear about it and why in the comments below or in our DMs, because it's with your opinions and with your conversation that how we expand our brain and our knowledge and our thoughts on what is actually entertaining to the average anime viewer, because we're not coming at this from the perspective of a proper critic. We're coming at it from the perspective of what is entertaining to anime viewers.
Yeah, we're just weebs. That's it.
We're just otakus. That's it. Yeah.
That everything?
That's everything.
All right, plugs. Blue, the Twitter, Instagram, Blue Lavender STM, TikTok, Blue Lavender, YouTube, Blue Lavender, me, Brad Carter Gaming, Instagram and Twitch. New Twitch account for podcast with VTube things coming at twitch.tv/BnB Anime. That's going to be cool. We also got like a fantastic layout, setup, panels, whole 9 yards. So that's going to be coming soon. You get the rest. Brain no work.
Yeah, we have a website, www.bnbanime.com, which is getting a revamp soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. We also have links to your favorite listening platforms there, all of our episodes ready to download straight off the website, if you want to download them straight there. We also have comment section, behind the scenes, all that kinds of fun stuff on there. BnB Anime on all of our socials as the podcast. Next week, we have Comic Con Communicate.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
It's going to be 12 episodes of bliss. I hope you're ready. I am so pleased with what's to come. I watched it episode by episode as it was coming out. It's one of my favorite things that I have watched in a really long time. And like I said, it is definitely going to be in the running for our slice of life of the year because oh my God, I love the show so much. It's great.
Yay.
It's brilliant. I'm looking forward to covering it, so you can look forward to that. And thank you all so much for listening, and we'll catch y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.